Hello and a very warm welcome to Accenture Presents ETStudios Digital Campus in association with ETCIO. I'm your host Devina Lasson. Now we at ET are thrilled to bring you this series where we take a look at all the initiatives that are required to create a future digital society. We're in conversation with industry stalwarts to understand the acceleration of innovation using technology, sustainability and much more. Today we're discussing building a digital sustainable world. Now, sustainability is really at the helm of every business leader who's listening carefully to the ever-increasing demands of their consumers, customers, their investors, and of course, employees. Sustainability is driven by technology, and therefore, it's the CEOs who can really drive organizations into a new transformation. Well, without further ado, I would like to welcome our guest today, Mr. Gopi Thangavel, SVP at Reliance Industries. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you. And T. Pitambaram, ED at BPCL. Welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure to have you both here today. So, gentlemen, at the onset, I'd like to ask both of you to give us a little bit of an understanding on where we stand with green software and the infrastructure that exists today, and how does this really help in creating and building the sustainable world that we're here to discuss?
Okay. See, if you look at it, softwares, before we're getting into softwares, all the softwares are hosted in the data centers. The data center, if you look at it, the current statistics stating around 400 terawatts of power consumed only in the data center itself. And the entire UK consumed only 300 terawatts. So the data center consuming larger than UK, and the carbon emission is larger than Netherlands or Argentina. The way if you look at it, it is more than the country. One data center is, the entire well-level data center is, producing it, which is very, very high. And if you look at it from the beginning, 1960s or 80s or 2000, each time the power keep increasing day by day because we want more power, more efficient and more not only just like that, sustainability. It's about, we want speed, and we need day by day the data growing in an enormous way, and it is important to produce all the power is required wherever it is required, and the data centers, the server storage, whatever the consumption is happening. So it is important to look into that, just to take a little breath and take a step back. What we are going to do more than just we are consuming or we are just producing it. So now the new coding, which is a green software framework, which is largely the people talking about how we can reduce these things, how we can ensure that you are not consuming all the resources, how we can ensure that you are using minimum impact, how we can ensure that all the using IoT or any other sensor-based or software development methodology, how we can bring down these emissions, how we can bring down these carbon footprints. So that's the way it is now.
Yes. And where would you say we stand today in India when it comes to the implementation, the widespread implementation of green software framework?
I think it started. I think it's a couple of years before it started, but at the same time, now I can see that compared to before, after pandemic is much better state than before. And if you look at it, all the people, even you take any big OEMs, starting from notebook, laptop producers, or server manufacturers, storage manufacturer, or even IP phones, you take any electronic device manufacturers, they come up with the compliance. Even simple Apple phone, they are coming with things like, okay, how to reduce this footprint. Just removing one charger, they are able to bring down, the massive emissions actually. So I think it's even we're not there, but we already there at certain level.
Yes, Mr. Pitambaram, I'd like to bring you in on this.
Yeah, I fully agree with Thangavel actually. See, basically, if you look at the data center, if you take all the setup, that's an energy sucker actually. So maximum energy goes there. See, earlier what was happening when you go for a server, normally people start looking at the cost of the server.
Yes.
And basically you stuck with the capex cost, purchasing cost. You never look into the running cost, that's OPEX. But today the trend is changing actually, you look at the capex and OPEX. Because you take a server at the lowest cost, but it may be pulling the energy too much, then your OPEX is going high. And energy is definitely you are adding carbon print. So what we have done actually, because basically now we are looking at servers, where all the data center actually, servers where the energy consumption is low, number one. So OPEX and CAPEX together we are considering actually, then only we are going for actually whether this is suitable. Second, actually you all know that actually now to reduce the number of physical server, we are all getting in a huge way of virtualization actually. So if a single mechanical server, you can have 40-45 virtualization platform. So you go get into maximum virtualization, again you can reduce the energy level actually. And third part actually lot of data we use it for analytics, all these things actually. The problem whenever you use those kind of tools, your decision has to be what kind of output, what kind of efficiency you need. You are asking for more efficiency, then you are doing the harder processing. Harder processing means you are consuming energy. So there are cases actually. So some of the cases I may require an output of 90% efficiency to take a business decision. Then I should be satisfied with that actually. But if it is a financial decision, I may require an output of 99.99 or 100% efficiency. So now we are looking into that actually, okay, which are all the cases where you want a top efficiency, which are all the cases we can have a lesser efficiency. Suppose you need a trend analysis. So it need not be 100% perfect. I need a lower efficiency. So there actually you go for servers like that, actually processes like that, which doesn't consume energy. So this culture was definitely not there maybe 3 or 4 years back. Now we are getting into those kind of culture. Each process we are scanning actually whether I need to consume this much energy, or I need to be this much accurate, or I need to put this kind of software to have this kind of output actually. So those applications are coming in. And we have one data center here and one data center in UP. That's basically our second one. And there actually we are already moved into green power actually. Right. 80% of the total power, now we are going for a solarization actually. And the main data center also we are into solarization. That is one way of getting the power. Either you get a green power, you create a green power, either you get a green power from the third party who is supplying it. So that is also you are supporting reducing it actually. And another thing, many of the time what happen, people go for a very sleek server. And any electronic equipment you are reducing the size. Indirectly you are going to increase the process speed actually, and you are going to increase the consumption of energy. So in our case, whether you don't have a space constraint, you don't go for very sleek and very modernized actually. So you need to, the purpose has to be served. So that also we are looking into actually. If you take any disk, go smaller and smaller, energy consumption is going to be high because the process is going to be faster actually, and energy consumption is going to be high. So that also we'll have to look into. So these minute items we were not looking into earlier. Now we started looking because we are all talking about carbon footprint and to create saving energy. So that's now happening. I can tell you it's a beginning. I will not say we have walked far ahead, but the beginning is happened. That's good part.
You know, that's a really interesting point you make about the nature of the technology impacting the ultimate power usage. What would you say is the impact of a green UI UX in reducing the carbon footprint? How can we see that impacting the industry as well?
So that I will say it's a very early stage actually. It's a beginning because people are moving into that. See, I tell you, see, even any UX also, if you see it, what kind of perfection you do. If you want more and more towards perfection, again the same thing happens there. There also your processing is tighter or processing is harder, and wherever the processing is harder, you are pulling the energy actually. So there also you see it actually what kind of finish I need or what kind of experience you want to give it actually. Suppose you take it as a mobile app, you are giving the customer. There you need a higher experience because customer is experiencing. But also you are coming back to a dashboard. Your own consumption, you should have a dashboard for analyzing the trend and all. So there you don't have that kind of experience where you are provided for the customer experience actually. So this call as business wise you will have to take it actually. So that when you take this decision, we always keep one thing actually, yes, how much energy I am consuming. And connected to energy, that's a carbon footprint. So this always you should be evaluating, and the decision has to be taken actually. Because otherwise people will ask for everywhere I want a perfect one actually, or the best one actually. But best one comes at a cost actually. And if the best one is not needed or not really needed, that we'll have to look into. That's what exactly we are working on.
Gopi, let's bring you in on this. Can you share some of the case studies and examples where there's been a very efficient use in any of the approaches towards sustainability and using green technology?
Yeah, we can give a simple example of even UX itself. Because if you look at it, the moment people developing it, when they develop any software, before there is a concept of developing specific to desktops and particular browser and particular way they do that. Nowadays, if you go in that approach, then they don't have any other choice. They will say you cannot use it in mobile. You have to go to the system and open it and you approve or do whatever you want to do. So it is important to understand that how we can eliminate all the devices.
Yes.
So the more we eliminate the devices, if you eliminate the notebook, eliminate the desktop, eliminate the computers, just a mobile. So the mobile app able to reach out, whatever you want to do. Even you have hundreds of features or 30 or 40 functions, but if you really look at it, you will use only 4 or 5 options only. So if you are able to enable that option in mobility way, that's it.
So in that case, Gopi, where do you say we stand in India today when it comes to the actual commercial scale implementation of green software framework and therefore seeing the impact, the desired impact in sustainability?
See, nowadays people started already, but if you ask me, already we reached there? No, not yet. But already started a journey? Yes. Largely when you look at it, we are talking about not only just a software. The software which will trigger the sensor, trigger the hardware, trigger whatever the devices which is consuming powers. So when you look at the powers, largely, either you are in cloud or hybrid, or you are in a local data center, whatever it is. So when you look at in heavy perspective, all the power consumptions, now we are able to do it in a way how we can minimize that, the carbon footprint. Nowadays, even you won't believe it, certain companies I recall, there is many offices, they are not operating 24/7. So they come back in a concept of, okay, 6 o'clock if the office is over, they will shut down the power. Even the edge computing kind of thing, they no need to access the entire data center. They just want their applications. They don't want anything else. So many places they started in that way. And if you look at the cloud computing area also, when we make it as a accountability, that is exactly the company culture. When you make it as accountability, they are able to consume what they want to consume. Otherwise, they have to pay for it, what they are consuming. So when they are consuming it, the energy level definitely will come down. The carbon footprint will come down. So in a large way, I think the ownership mindset, the company culture together, I think we can achieve it.
So we're already starting to see this happen across industries in India. That's a really promising outlook. Mr. Pithambaram, I'd like to ask you about, in addition to all we've discussed, the impact of green UI UX in reducing the carbon footprint. How have we seen this initiative also impact the bottom line?
Yeah, it's a continuation of what I said earlier actually, because now any application or any selection of application or any selection of process, now people have started looking into what kind of energy is being consumed. So when it comes to US also the same thing actually. So what kind of perfection or what kind of experience I wanted to provide to the customer. If you take any customer experience applications, the front end has to be so neat and clean. So we may think that actually yes, even though energy consumption is more, we should provide that because that's something connected to the customer end experience actually. But when you come to something backend like dashboard you are maintaining, dashboard you are using it actually internally. So that kind of experience may not be required because either content rich is more required actually, their experience rich is more required. So those kind of things, now we are really looking into actually, okay, what kind of technology I can use it so that I will consume less power here. So those kind of thinking or those kind of working started happening across actually. So it started slowly. At every action, what is the kind of power consumed and what is the kind of carbon footprint is we are creating or we are eliminating. That part is already getting ingrained now.
Yeah, absolutely. Gopi, are there any examples you can share with us, case studies where these kinds of efficiencies have been achieved and is sort of a benchmark to follow?
Yeah, if you look at it, many companies they started, instead of accessing via web, use my mobile app. So you will get some discounts. So in a way they are pushing all the audience. Go mobile app based where you will no need to switch on your devices, switch on any other computers. So when you look at it, it's look like a one piece, but when you look at India kind of populations, when you look at millions and billions of people, everyone switching on the system, it is a huge energy consumption. So it is important to push towards the UAE experience, which is towards the mobility kind of way. And going forward, anything, any device, any place, anytime kind of things only going to be sustained. So it is important to understand. And many organizations, they already deploy like a wake of land kind of thing. Quite some time back also they done it. For example, if you touch it only, it will wake up. Until then, the computer will be always going to the power saving mode. Similarly, data center area or any other area also, we can think in that concept only.
And with the increasing use of AI, machine learning, of course, the carbon emission, as we were talking about, the use of the power required, it's increasing, and every organization is heavily relying on these tools. Can you shed some light on the use of green AI and how we're seeing innovations when it comes to this aspect of technology?
When we talk about AI, definitely ML playing a huge role there, because first machine have to learn the trends of what is happening, and based on the trend, you can enable the artificial intelligence to enable more, not only just a neuron way, you can control it or you can optimize it, you can do many other things. But we should know the history of it, because even tomorrow you want to go to Delhi, you should know where you are today. So without knowing it, you can't book a ticket. So it is important to understand that where we are standing today. So when you look at the overall perspective, it is important to understand how we are going to take it forward. So I think that is important to do.
Yeah. Mr. Pitambaram?
AI is the order of the day. We are extensively, every company is extensively using, we are also extensively using. And the application of AI has got two compartments. If you ask me, if you permit me, I can say it's a two-part actually. One is application of AI and energy consumption for the application of AI. Second is the output of AI, whether it is helping to reduce the carbon footprint. Coming back to application of AI, we all read actually ChatGPT. Somewhere I was reading it actually ChatGPT for training alone. The carbon footprint was almost sending a car from here to moon and coming back.
Wow.
That's the kind of energy consumed for training alone, not application actually. So that is what you have to take. What kind of answer you are looking in AI. I tell you a simple example. What you are using, one of the tools actually for a LPG customer. So we have got the complete data. So we are now taking away one pain of the customer, saying that actually you don't book the cylinder. My AI will find out actually when your kitchen is having an empty cylinder.
Yeah.
That we are doing it actually.
Yeah.
But there I can go for a 100% efficiency. That means I'll have to have a repeated process. Maybe I'll have to put 10 years data, then do the tool actually. Yes. But I am seeing that actually, okay, my efficiency level can be 85. Then I will take only last 3 years data and do it actually. So we are going for a lower level actually. If 85% efficiency is good. So if you are looking at output with 100% efficiency, you are using a lot of iteration actually. Any iteration in the process, you are consuming energy. Like another example, when you come to our LPG plant alone, if the cylinder comes, it captures the photo of the tire weight, the weight on the cylinder actually. So there I can train my system by putting 1 lakh photos, so that my 100% will be perfect. But I can train my system maybe around 50,000 photos. So that code you have to take it, what kind of end result you are looking. Then look at, because if you want everything perfection, you do it actually, but at what cost? You are creating a lot of carbon footprint. So each item we are looking. Secondly, one output efficiency, AI output what we are using to reduce the carbon footprint. We have got almost 25,000 lorries on the road every day running from product from one location to other location. Earlier they were just running by manual calculation. Today my AI says actually this will has to move from here to here, so that he will have to have the lesser kilometer. So in that way I can say almost we are saving around 10 to 15% of total kilometer travelled. That means my AI output is helping me to reduce the carbon footprint.
Yes, that's a very helpful actually visualization of the different ways in which we can look at green AI. Let's talk a little bit as well about data storage and the associated wastage that happens with it. According to statistics, it says actually that dark data contributes to a vast majority of data these days, where maximum of the wastage also happens. So, Mr. Pitambaram, how would you say that green storage can really enhance the efficiency as well when it comes to data?
Yeah, here also look this issue from two sides. One is actually what kind of data, for how long you should keep it actually.
Yes.
For that, in our case actually we have a data retention policy. We got different kind of transaction. Some of the transaction, particularly financial transaction, yes, that's the limitation. I think we have to keep it for 8 years minimum 8 years. Okay. But some of the normal transaction, you can leave it for 1 year, you can leave it, some of the transaction may not even store it also. So that first and foremost, we'll have to take a decision what kind of data you'll have to keep it. Yes. And second part comes actually what kind of data you'll have to keep it in live and what kind of data you can keep it in a dead or idle position actually. All the data need not be kept in live position. Live position, those data are required by me. Suppose I want to do a realistic analysis. So it may be 1 year, 2 year or 3 year. More than that, I can move it into an idle system actually. So when you move it into idle system, it is not consuming power. So whenever I trick it, I will go back and bring it actually. And many of the data what also we are moving it actually, we are moving to the tape actually. If you keep it in live system, Whether you use it or not use it, the power is getting used, that is getting cooled, the fan is running, so you are completely consuming the energy.
Yes.
Even though you are not using the data, but you move it to the tape. It's an ideal situation, and whenever you want the data, you can bring the tape back in and read it actually. So that's the first point. Everyone has to do it actually, and definitely people will be doing like this. So we should have a data retention policy. Decide what is the live data, what is the dead data, or what is the idle data. Move what is not required. Move to the idle setup, and possibly you move to the tape so that it is literally not consuming power actually. And idle also, maximum you move it only the day-to-day requirement or the business requirement where you are moving something required for the analytics part. That something you have to keep it in live, keep it live. Otherwise balance, you move it in the storage condition actually. So that way you take it. Then we have also done an exercise actually. We have reduced a lot of storage space because we could see that actually why we are keeping so much of data. Simple example actually, if you take a invoice data, that means something is dispatched from one location to other location. Yeah. Why you need that kind of data for 10 years? It is not required actually. It's like transactional data. So those kind of stuff we are doing it actually, and we are maintaining only the minimum most data required for the analytical part, required for the day-to-day transaction, required for the back reference. Balance we are moving into idle storage actually.
Fantastic. Gopi, how about you? Can you share some examples of efficient data storage and eliminating the wastage in storage?
See, as per Gartner, it is 55% of the corporate data are dark data. Yes. But just for the audience understanding, first we have to understand what is dark data. Data is data. Why we call it dark data? Is it because of they are doing it in night or something? No. The dark data is nothing but, okay, everybody have a bank account, right? Like any bank. What data normally you feed? Your username and password, that's it. Yeah. So you know that you are feeding only two data. But actually you are not feeding only these two. They are capturing other dark data. Your IP, yes. Your location, yes. And what kind of browser you are using, what kind of computer you are using. So all these things they capture. So what happened, where will store the data? But they need it for the compliance purpose, many other purposes, because they need to know, is it really you or not? Yes. Or even if it is really you, these are the information they normally track it. So this is, they call it dark data. And this dark data, if you look at in office corporate area also, you will have so much dark data. That's why they declare 55% of the data is dark data, which is majority they don't use it. Absolutely. And if the data got leaked, it is more damage than anything. Yes. Imagine that you have a female employee and all the information got leaked about her. It is more dangerous than anything, yes. Right? Her locations and all other information. So it is important to protect the data. But at the same time now people are getting more sensitive. Do we really need more data? That is important now. Then what to do with the data which is we already collected? So this dark data playing a huge role now, because this concept dark data itself come with the Gartner gang only. So it is important to understand the dark data and how we are going to minimize the impact, how we are going to reduce the data, because anyway our GDPR similar like Europe, India also passing the the data leakage privacy policies. So it is important to understand that how we are going to protect our data, because end of the day our information is very, very important and need to be protected. So this dark data playing a huge role, and at the same time, even you look at your laptop. Many times whenever you change the laptop, you take a backup. But we don't know why we do that, but we normally take a backup, yes. And multiple backups will be there. The more year you are in the same organization, more backups you will have. So majority data you never use it. So that's why many organizations, they always come up with like every 3 months or 6 months, if you don't access any data, they will question that. If you don't want it, just archive it and delete it, no need. So if you are not using that application or you are not using the data, we have to clean it up.
Absolutely.
That's a basic actually.
So it's not only about data storage, it's about cleanup. And what about recycling? Again, statistics say that only about 17% of e-waste collected is recycled. And what's more, in organizations, a lot of the hardware, in fact, it's a very small percentage of even the hardware that goes through the recycling process. So how can organizations really take a look at sort of the end-of-life management when it comes to hardware, as well as e-wastage and recycling? And how can this contribute to creating more sustainable output?
So many companies, they don't follow what is your real net worth, like how many years one laptop can be used, how many years desktop can be used, how many years server or storage can be used. The typical practice is, they will use it as long as they're depreciated. After depreciated, net book value becomes 0. Still, they will continue to use it. That's where the problem starts. Many companies, what I know is, after 3 years, they will try to give that to the employees. So what happened? It's a 2-in-1. The employee take care, okay, this after 3 years, this laptop belongs to me. She or he will take care of the laptop like anything. Perfect. So automatically your calls will go down. But at the same time, when you look at it in another angle, many companies, they will do it in a CSR activity. Why to give back to the employee? Employees are fine now, well-to-do majority. So let's give it to CSR, other homes or other schools or something. So in that way, they will just use it as long as possible. So what happened? The recycling concept will go away from there. The one desktop they're supposed to use it for 3 years, they will use it for 7 to 9 years. So that's where the real challenge started. Otherwise, now Apple and many other companies come up with a simple concept. You know what? I'll give you this laptop for 3 years. After 3 years, you give me back. Yes. And when you buy next laptop, I'll give you this much, 30,000, 40,000 discount straight. So in that way, they are taking care of the recycling. They are taking care of this e-wastage, all these things. So many companies moving in that path also. And many companies doing, of course, CSR activities and other things, and many companies doing employee return. So in a way, if you look at it, yes, are we doing great e-wastage? Not that like, how Singapore and many other countries doing it. We are not doing like that way. But when you look at the India kind of country, the massive electronic wastage, we are doing some percentage which is larger than many other countries actually.
Yes. So Mr. Pithambaram, let's bring you in on this. What about as well responsible procurement to begin with in order to avoid wastage and promote recycling?
Yeah. What we are following basically when you go for procurement, definitely consumption of energy we are looking into one. Second, actually we are going for a buyback system now. All the servers actually, because wherever we procure, actually we always prefer the buyback system. So when you get a new one, the old one is taken back to the company, they recycle it or they recalibrate or they make it actually. Because we also found that actually electronic wastage disposal, it takes a lot of time.
Yes.
From our side actually. So whatever we said actually, even all the equipment we are procuring, except small switches and all these things, okay, leave it that actually. Otherwise, everything we are going for a buyback. So that we need not go for electronic disposal actually. And other things, whatever comes actually, we have a cycle actually. We collect the data, and there are certified parties actually. Those certified parties we place the tender and dispose it actually. So procurement, we look at the energy consumption and also look at the buyback option. And third one, if at all something left out, we go for a disposal.
Understood. And lastly, what about the use of distributed ledger technology when it comes to really promoting green infrastructure? Can you give us some ways and examples in which you're seeing this being used?
I don't know. You ever wonder, sometime one medicine works perfectly, the same medicine sometime it may not work perfectly. People think what happened? The same generic medicines and the outcome suddenly is not working. The thing is, this is one of the very interesting use case. When you look at it, the manufacturing happening. From the manufacturing, there is a windows and doors, everything is there, and there is a sustainable temperature need to be maintained. And after that, there is a particular hours, this many minutes only they can keep it into the consolidation area, this many minutes in warehouse, this many minutes in distribution area. Then there is a logistics, the truck and everything, and certain medicines need to be in that temperature, need to be maintained even in the truck.
Wow.
And when they try to track everything, they are able to find out, that there is a delay in the warehouses, there is a delay in supply chain. There is certain area, certain times, the truck driver switch off the engine and everything, so entire gone. So now what happened, whatever this manufacturing happened, it's went on no use.
Yes.
So the same tablet or same medicine not working. So this blockchain, which is a DLT, it's a beautiful system, which is able to track from end to end. You're able to start from manufacturing, start from consolidation, distributions, warehouse, logistics. And then even we track even the drivers, are they able to do in the right time if they drive in a 40 kilometer speed, and is keep engine on, everything. So the sensor and the technology is giving enormous privilege to track all these things.
Fantastic.
And the new technology is enabling us to, ensure that not even one medicine getting wasted.
Wow.
So I believe this DLT is a beautiful thing.
Fantastic. So all geared towards reducing wastage, basically, and increasing efficiency.
Exactly.
Fantastic. Well, gentlemen, thank you so much. Before we wrap up, I would just like to ask each of you about Green Software Framework and how you are sort of ensuring as part of the mandate in your respective organizations.
So if I talk about the Green Software Framework, basically, one, of course, when you select a procurement, actually, what kind of software you are looking, then definitely, I said, actually, energy consumption we look into. What kind of process you are adopting, actually, because you are under heavily virtualization, then you need less of physical structure, actually. So look for less physical structure. And if you select the server also, you are looking into what kind of process it is used, actually, because if you are earlier also said a smaller one, high capacity, then higher speed. See, if you need that kind of speed for your activity, so that let's look into. So each step look what kind of consumption is required, and what kind of process you are using it actually. So that way we are looking every step we are looking into those actually, and we are finding out, okay, this operation this kind of systems are required, and for this operation this kind of required. And many of the places we are also brought that actually into edge computing actually, so that I need not bring all the data to my server or all the data to my cloud actually, and because that going and coming and come back actually, it is bringing latency. And also it is consuming a lot of energy. So many activities we have, even take it all retail outlets, 20,000 plus retail outlets we have. Everything is fully automated. But we have an edge equipment there actually, and there is locally controlled. And I only pick up data, exceptional data from there to my cloud for further analytics. I am not bringing all the data to here. So the entire local control is at the local element. So edge computing is happening. So the latency is not there, and the processing also faster actually. So that also we are looking into, because wherever possible, instant data, near the data processing is possible, just process it actually, and only bring exception to your cloud or exception to your data center for the further backend analytics, so that you are not using lot of energy for traveling entire data to one place and processing it actually, and again pushing back to other place. That we are doing.
Thank you. Gopi, how about you?
Yeah. See, all the products, you buy only the energy certified products. No matter what, is it starting from end user computing or data center or everything. And now there is a prediction that by 2025 it is going to be more than close to 2 billion sensors going to be enabled for IoTs. So which is quite large. And so if you look at the data center area or any other area, enabling the IoT along with the sensor, so we are able to track it, get the machine learning, and get entire history of it, and get that entire artificial intelligence way to, okay, this is the predictive way, and tomorrow what we have to do.
Yes.
Every Thursday you are getting in that particular consumption is getting high or getting low, each and everything we are able to get it. So this energy level of each devices, because when you keep the old legacy, of course it will consume more and more, and multiple virtualizations, even cloud, make it accountable for each and everyone. So if I am accountable, even simple example, if you calculate in a way, one email, it will cost you 50 paisa if you send it to one person. If you look at email concept itself, you send it to some 50 people, they will do reply all, they will do another reply all. Imagine that, whoever sending an email, you will get charged.
Yeah.
You are accountable for it. They will not reply all, they will do only reply. They will select one thing, because the department have to bear the cost. When you make accountable, then you can make it serious about it, and people will really start to work on it. When somebody paying, available, cloud is available, it's free, people use it whatever the way they want. So as long as we make it accountable, I think energy we are able to do that. Because if you make it, petrol or anything, if I am paying from my pocket, I will ensure that, I'm not wasting it. So similarly, the department have to own it, each department. And when there is a business returns, when there is a ROI, when there is a justifications, I think we are able to achieve it, whatever the technology. End of the day, the technology is supposed to help the customer, employee, and enter the better world and better business. And it's supposed to enable the business in a very faster and efficient way. And I believe it will happen. And it is happening already.
Fantastic. So accountability really being at the core when it comes to promoting sustainability in the space of technology. Well, gentlemen, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure talking to you today, and thank you for shedding so much light on how we can look at building a sustainable digital world moving forward. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Right, well, that's all we have for you on this edition, but do stay tuned for more such insightful conversations. Until next time, many thanks for watching.